Okay, so before we get going here, this is a Standel Reverbaluxe. It's a Tel-Ray oil can unit. It's got a 12A X7 and a 12A U7 in it. It's from about 1964. It arrived at the shop in unknown, mysterious condition. We didn't know if it'd even turn on or work, and the power cord was hideous. We'll get into the fix, but obviously it's working now. Similar to our Gibson GA4RE, we have the 1, 2, and 3, which are the different tape delay times, and there's also this reverb switch. If I go to the first one, I get 2 or 3 slapbacks. Yeah. Okay. And if we bring this up, this increases the number of slapbacks, and this thing will go into oscillation too. So we can put it into oscillation like you can an Echoplex, right? So we know what that is. And then this is the amount of the echo chamber we're actually listening to. So that's working fine now. Go to setting 2, which is the slower. So that's that one, and then setting 3 is both of those heads together, a short and a long, and at least on the Gibson it makes a chorusy sound. Honestly, this is the first time listening to this since I got it back to life. That one doesn't sound as luxurious as I remember it. The amp's kind of behind the camera. We're just using our PV Encore. The reverb on that is turned off, so the fact that it sounds like we're in a cavern is probably all the Standel. So we'll just shut all that off and just bypass it. We should have the same sound. That's that. Let's bring our echo back in nice and strong. Hopefully that's not too much. Try it again. Yep, outer space echo. So yeah, there we go. It's a Standel. Yeah. And somebody wants to talk to me. What a surprise. But that's a Standel Reverbaluxe, and then we'll go into what it took to bring it back to life. Okay, today for your enjoyment we have a Standel Reverbaluxe. These were from 1964. Pilot light, power, foot switch. That middle one said output once upon a time. mic and instrument input, echo, volume, reverb. I don't know if that's dwell or what that is. And then echo, delay, which is a 1, 2, 3. This is the 3 different playheads, because this is a add an echo Tel-Ray system like our Gibson GA4RE. And I found this on eBay, and while I was trying to make sure that our big Standel that we're in the process of fixing was a good bargain. So got a slot there for it to ventilate. We have a really ravaged bad power cord, a fuse, and a clicker switch back here, which I'm pretty sure that's a phase flip-flopper for the 2-prong power cord, you know, the def cap switch. And we're not even going to mess with that power cord. Let's see if the fuse is popped. Looks like a normal fuse, and it is a 250 volt, 3 amp. 3 amp, well, it is supposed to be a tube circuit, I think, so that probably makes sense. So let's open this up. We're going to change the power cord and anything else that we think might be necessary to change before we actually turn it on. Quick look inside. There's our oil can full of, hopefully full of oil, maybe not. Full of oil is only like a couple tablespoons. There's not much in there actually. 2 vacuum tubes, a lot of dirt, creepy crawlies. So I'll pull this chassis out and then look underneath. And there's a lot of bad rumor that these oil cans are like full of something horrible and cancerous, and it's not. And this can looks bigger. This looks bigger and different than the one that's in the Gibson. Significantly different than the one in the Gibson. Probably different era. Most of these were made around 1964, 65-ish, so I don't know. Anyway, pull the chassis out here and see what we got. This is an S41 Reverbaluxe. Hooray. Okay, so now it's out of the chassis, so we can marvel at its amazing technology. So 3-position switch, pot over there and a pot over there, and a stray thing that was probably part of some suspension thing. 2 vacuum tubes. Yeah, in fact, I know what that was. Now I can tell because this is kind of like bent and pulled up. That was part of the thing that held the, was part of the grommet that held this part of the oil can down. So we'll maybe see if we can fix that or do something about that. That's why that's sitting a little crooked. Add an echo memory system by Tel-Ray Electronics. Looks like a big can of something nasty. Surströmming, perhaps? I don't know. And our belt has pretty much perished. I don't know that that would turn it. Oh good, this actually does appear to have the disengagement system like the Gibson did, so that's good. If this has disengagement, then we should maybe have a chance of this thing working. We have 2 tubes. Let's see what they are. Probably 12AX7, I would assume. ECC 82 12A U7A Mullard. So Mullard 12A U7. And with this being in mystery condition, I might have bought a train wreck, but usually some of this stuff is worth the price of admission. And a 12AX7A Westinghouse. Made in USA. Okay. If that 12AX7 was a Mullard, then that would be the price of admission right there. Somebody would probably do a damn backflip for that thing if it tested good. Okay, so let's look underneath. Now we clicked a switch, I think. Okay, pretty simple. Filter caps. Reversing switch thing, which will be negated. We're going to defeat that. Looks like a couple of diodes there. Some real old school diodes for rectification. What are those filter caps? I can't even tell. They're sprags. Are they exploding? No, but they're small enough. Who knows? They might be bad. They probably are bad. And then we got a bunch of molded Astrons over here, so that's a good sign. And somebody just turned on the power, and then that blue thing up there, that blue thing should be our Astron. Our Astron, that's the depth cap. So I'll be clipping that out. So I guess stage one would be change the power cord, because this one's crap. And I have a modern but salvaged 3-prong cord that we took off of a laser printer. So there should be enough juice in here. We'll swap that and see where it gets us. So we're not working with a schematic here, we're just working off of instinct. So I suppose step one would be we'll warm up our soldering iron. Let's just get that depth cap out of here. If the power cord is going straight through the fuse and into the transformer, which is down here, so if the power is just going, yep, through the fuse into the transformer and the switch and crap, leaving the switch in isn't going to do anything. It'll still flip the phase to the transformer, but it's just going to flip this depth cap, which we're going to remove, and then we're going to put a earth lug on. We'll just solder the green lug to earth. So yeah, that's fine. This capacitor can just leave. Let's give it a little clip here. I'm gonna guess this is like a 0.01. They like 0.0 or 0.02s. 0.01s or 0.02s usually at a very high voltage is a common depth cap. Okay, so depth cap has been removed. It was a molded Astron 0.01 400 volts. Okay, that's solved. Unscrew this, desolder this, and then slip our new power cord in there. And alright, back in a minute when the soldering iron's hot. Okay, so I realize the camera angle sucks, and the work table sucks, and there's a lot of things that suck, but we've got the business end here loose, so we should be able to, let's burn ourselves. That's what we should be able to do, burn ourselves like a big doofus. They really made a dang good mechanical connection here. I don't know if that's going to want to unwrap. We might just end up doing a clip and strip if that gets too hot. But there we go, wrestle that one off of there. And wrestle this one out of the fuse holder if we're lucky. In retrospect, that is a 1 amp fuse in there. I think I said it was 3 amp. I can't read. It's just a 1 amp fuse, which seems a little bit more standard for that. I'd love to be able to pull this out of here though, so I could have an open hole to put the new one in. Yeah, we're going to manage to burn our fingers off doing this. Let's try this trick. Pulling these old wires off sometimes when people make a good mechanical connection, which is arguably something you should do, depending on whether you're, you know, regardless of what. There are a few proponents that say if you know how to solder, you don't need to make a great mechanical connection, and then there's other guys that are obviously good at soldering that say you should. So there we go, we got that out of there, and we only had a little bit of leftover copper garbage on there, so I got that unscrewed. Take the clip off. And the old cable is free. And that's going to go straight to the trash, because that's really, really in bad shape. We're not going to use that, obviously, for the sake of everybody here. Now, there is one YouTuber who I watch because he's just fun and entertaining, but he fixes antique radios, and You want to talk about somebody who'll plug anything in. Granted on a current limiter, but still plug anything in. I see these really, really, really bad cables, and they'll just clip them off, clip off the bad spot, throw a little electrical tape on them. There are a few guys that work like that. I'm intending to keep this thing and fix it, you know, in regards to whatever happens. So I'm going to answer the phone, and I'm going to tin these wires. Okay, so we successfully answered the phone and done some tech support computer-wise for somebody who needed it. We've got our new power cord where the def cap was going to chassis. We've got our ground lug, we've got our main hot there, and we've got our common running through the fuse. That's the way they did it, but it doesn't really matter because you're going straight to a transformer. Some people like to put the hot through there. It's not going to matter. So that's fine. AC through a transformer, one of the two legs of the transformer, it's going to break it. So I could get all snuffed up about that. So we're going to put our clip back on, and then we'll flip it over and turn it on, and we'll see if it's going to explode. Okay, so yep, we got the tubes back in it, and I've got the system kind of generally ready to go. So we're going to just kick the tires and light the fires. We're going to flip the switch and see if it explodes. And nothing happened. I flipped the power switch and zero, zilch, nada, nothing happened. So, alright. What does that mean? Did our breaker go off or something? No. So the breaker didn't go off, so we should still have some juice here. I wonder if that switch has anything to... Oh, that switch has something to do with it. Okay, so when I flip this thing, I don't know if that's a double on-off or what that is. But, okay, so our motor's running, and that should be turning this. But it can't turn it because the motor's like seized up, locked up. The motor is not moving. Alright, let's manually rotate the motor a little bit and give it a little help. Because this motor probably hasn't been oiled since the beginning of time. It's trying to run. So I'll have to put some oil in it so it can run. Our tube's lighting up. We don't want to do this too long. Our tubes are lit up, and our motor is running at the speed of snail. So let's put some oil in the motor here and get her loosened up. It's trying. There goes the motor. It's working more and more. Alright. Snap that. Okay, this power switch is like backwards. Down is on, and up is off. That's weird. Oh, there goes our motor. It's going full throttle now. That's the speed the motor's supposed to go, so we'll oil it so it goes up in speed. But yeah, it's running. I suppose I could check for some audio signal, but we're going to put a little lubricant in there and then try again. Well, at this point, I don't think I could have had any better news than we have. By default, I would be tearing into this, checking everything, cleaning it, whatever. But I plugged it into our PV amplifier back there, and when these things are misfiring or they're dry or something's wrong with them, they tick. They tick. They go tick, 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 tick. But anyway, I've got it connected to our PV amplifier. Here's, you know, thumb on the cord. And I can hear the echo just fine. And I can turn up the input to the point that it does that outer space echo. It's not humming. It's not humming at all. It's quiet on the system, so it's not making a bunch of racket. At this point, after changing the power cord and oiling the motor, it works. So I think I'm going to clean the pots and the switch and give it a bath and then play around with it. The capacitors that are in there are 200 volt Sprague, what they call the dry electrolyte version. By default, you know, you automatically, just on any old tube circuit, you go up, time to change the capacitors. Those routinely would, you know, be changed, but they're one of the more reputable types, and they aren't humming at all. And so I'm just going to err on, you know, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So I'm just going to try to clean all this garbage up because this thing is filthy. You know, get it unfilthed. This is running good even with this belt. I mean, the belt does have a tendency to slip, but if it's really, as long as it's able to keep the can up to speed, it should be fine. If it's warbling way too much, we'll put a belt on it, but that's just a cassette tape belt, nothing exciting. So yeah, we're going to clean all the dirt off of it, and then we'll do a demo, I guess.